วัสดีค่ะรายการรอบรู้กับไทยทีโซซึ่งจัดโดยสมาคมครูผู้สอนภาษาอังกฤษแห่งประเทศไทยในพระอุปถัมภ์ของสมเด็จพระเจ้าพี่นางเธอเจ้าฟ้ากัลยาณิวัฒนากรมหลวงนราธิวาสราชนครินทร์ก็กลับมาพบกับท่านอีกครั้งหนึ่งนะคะในช่วงของการพัฒนาเทคนิควิธีการสอนภาษาอังกฤษสำหรับคราวนี้เป็นการนำเสนอเทคนิคการนำ poetry หรือบทกลอนภาษาอังกฤษมาใช้ในการสอนภาษาอังกฤษตอนที่2ที่มีชื่อว่า Poetry and Meaning ซึ่งเรามีวิทยากรรับเชิญคือ Professor Alan Maley สำหรับในตอนนี้เป็นการสาธิตการสอนโดยเน้นการทำความเข้าใจเรื่องราวในบทกลอนภาษาอังกฤษเป็นสำคัญเชิญติดตามได้ค่ะ
Well, good morning everybody. Nice to see you again after so long. Today we are again going to have a poem as the focus of what we do. But today, as I told you last time, today we're going to look at meaning. Mainly at meaning. The focus is on meaning. All right? But before we actually come to the poem, I want you to think about one or two things to prepare your mind. You know, we call getting the right mental set. Yeah? So you're looking in the right direction. Think about crime for a minute. Crime. What sorts of crimes are there? Smuggling? Is smuggling a crime? I thought it was a profession. Yes, okay, smuggling. Robbery. Rape. Any others? That's all. Murder. Which one? Oh, kidnapping. Okay, kidnapping. Yes, yes, kidnapping. Okay. So those are some of the things that you can associate with crime. But what do criminals look like? When you think of the word criminal in your mind, what do you think of? Strong, violent, cruel, yes. Anything else?
They're usually stereotyped and described as not physically good looking.
Not physically good looking, perhaps, yes.
Perhaps that's
Yes.
stereotype.
Yes, all right. Yes, you're right. The word is a very useful word, isn't it? I'll put this word on the board because I'm glad that Anne-Marie brought it up. How do you spell it?
Stereotype. S-T-E-R-E-O-T-Y-P-E.
A stereotype. What does a stereotype mean?
It's the way people act.
It may be the way they act or the way they look, you know. It may be a whole set of things that we believe about certain kinds of people. So if you are in England, for instance, we have stereotypes about French people. All right?
What is it?
Well, I mean, they're not very complimentary sometimes. We believe that they eat frogs, for instance. You know, we say all French people eat frogs and wear berries. You know? It's not true, of course. And they smoke Gauloise. You know, Gauloise, the black cigarettes? Those are part of the stereotype that English people have about French people. And French people have stereotypes about Belgian people. Did you know that?
No.
You know what? They think that Belgian people are all stupid. And all that Belgian people do all day is to drink beer and eat chips, you know? French fries and mussels, you know? This is what the French people believe about Belgian people. And English people believe about Irish people, that Irish people are stupid as well. You know, everybody has a belief. What do you think about... I better not ask you. These are national stereotypes, right? These are national stereotypes. They're not personal stereotypes so much. But if you think of a criminal, you do have a stereotype, don't you, of a criminal? You think, how do criminals dress? What do they wear?
For a long time ago, they should wear very bad
Bad,
dress.
you're very
But-
poorly
Yeah.
dressed.
Yeah.
Very.
But it
Okay.
changed now.
They've changed now. They all wear Christian Dior suits now. Yeah, that's right. Yes. Okay. Yeah. We call it white collar crime. You know, white. I'm not wearing a white collar, but white collar crime. Yes. Okay. But we have these ideas in our head about people like that, don't we? What about lawyers? Lawyers.
Very smart.
Very smart. What do lawyers wear? Suits, ties,
Yeah.
Gold watch.
gold watch. What kind of car?
Yeah.
Mercedes-Benz, right? Or an Audi or something like that. Okay, all right. Yeah.
Big case.
And a big smart leather case, of course. Yes. Okay. What about their appearance, apart from their clothes? What about their faces? What do you think? Serious?
They have this something like command of respect.
They command respect. Yes, the way they look is very respectable. Yes, very respectable looking. Lawyers are supposed to be a respectable profession, like teachers. Only lawyers get more money. Yes, okay. All right, I'm going to introduce you then to a poem that plays with the idea of stereotypes. Okay? I'll just read it to you once first. I won't give it to you yet. This is called Prisoner and Judge. Judge is a kind of lawyer, right? Yeah, okay. So, the prisoner was walking round and round the prison yard. He had a low forehead and cruel eyes. You couldn't trust him anywhere. He dressed up as a judge. He put on a wig and robes and sat in court in the judge's place. And everyone said, "What a deep forehead he has! What learned eyes! How wise he looks! You could trust him anywhere." All right? You understand? Any question? About the meaning of the words, I mean. You know what a wig is? In England, in Thailand, do you wear wigs? No, it's too hot. You know why lawyers wear wigs in England? It's to conceal the fact that there are no brains underneath. Yeah, that's right. That's why they wear wigs, you know? Yeah. Okay. So wigs and robes, all of these things which are the symbol of being a judge. Okay. All right, let me give you the poem now. This is only half the poem. This is just half the poem. Okay, this is the first half, which I just read to you. Please read it again to yourself. And if there are any questions, please ask me. Yes? Straightforward? No problem? No problem. All right, good. Okay. So what is the meaning of this first verse? What does it mean? The prisoner was walking round and round the prison yard. He had a low forehead and cruel eyes. You couldn't trust him anywhere. So what is the person who is writing the poem, what is he saying about the prisoner?
He says about the appearance of the prisoner.
Okay, the appearance of the prisoner. And when you see somebody dressed in prison clothes, you know you can't trust him.
Yeah.
And then you see him in a particular way. And you say he has, a narrow forehead, a low forehead,
Yeah.
We say this is a sign. What's it a sign of? If you don't have a very big forehead, what does it mean?
Very serious.
No, if you have a low forehead, a narrow forehead like that,
A murderer. If someone.
it might show, it might be that you're a murderer, it may be that you are, perhaps that you are not very clever,
Yeah.
you're not very intelligent. We say people with a high forehead are supposed to be very intelligent.
I don't-
Actually, it means that they're losing their hair usually.
Oh, I don't have.
Yeah? So you see, because the person is wearing prison clothes, you see him in that way. You say, he has cruel eyes, a narrow forehead. You can't trust him. Yeah? But then what happens?
Shame.
He changes, yes, he changes his clothes. Yes?
Yeah, the prisoner tries to dress up. He tries to wear the robes which a judge.
Okay,
usually
so he
wears.
dresses up in the judge's clothing. And the moment that you see somebody dressed as a judge, what happens?
You can trust him.
You know that you can trust him. Do you trust judges?
Sometimes.
You do? Okay. Sometimes. Okay. Yes. All right. One should be able to trust judges. Yeah, certainly. And because the person is dressed as a judge, we say, what do they say in the poem? What a deep forehead he has. What? Wise he looks. He looks very wise, very learned, very educated, because he's wearing the judge's clothes. Okay. Is it true? Is it true? Not really. Is it the same person inside? The same person wearing the clothes?
Yeah.
Just different clothes. So when you see different clothes, you make different judgments. I'll tell you a story about this later if we have time. You know this story already, I told you on our course before. Okay, so this is the first stanza, the first verse of this poem. There are two verses. What do you think will be in the second verse?
Something happened.
Something happens. Well, what will happen, do you think?
When he speaks.
When he speaks, it will be different. That's an interesting idea, yeah. Because we also judge people by the way they speak, don't we? Do you do that in Thailand?
Yes.
You do that in the Philippines? Sometimes. In China you do, certainly for regions, huh? Not so much social, but in England, you judge people by the way they speak. You know, everybody who speaks when we hear them, we immediately put them into a kind of category. Yes? When we hear them speak English. So people also make judgments about the way people's voice sounds. Yeah. But that's not what happens in the second verse. But it's a nice idea. Anything else? Any other guesses about what might happen in the next verse?
He met someone.
He met someone. Who did he meet? Someone who?
Girl.
A girl?
Yeah.
A little girl or a big girl?
A little girl.
A little girl. Oh. And what happens then?
Maybe she's his daughter.
Oh, I see. Maybe she's his daughter. You mean this is the prisoner or the judge who was meeting? The same man, you mean?
He's
The same man. Okay, the same man. All right. Okay. Any other ideas?
Perhaps the real judge will come into the picture.
Perhaps the real judge might come into the picture. Okay.
Maybe the person in the court.
Somebody in the
Yes,
court
in the court,
might come.
yes. Yeah,
And
might
what would they
come,
do?
And they don't know that he is the real judge.
Aha, they don't know that they think he is the
He's
real
the
judge,
judge.
but they don't know he is a prisoner, in fact. Okay. All of these ideas are quite interesting, nice ideas, yeah. One of the things that poetry does sometimes is it repeats things. It repeats not only words, but patterns. So the second verse is a kind of a repeated pattern of the first verse. All right? I'm going to read it for you. The judge was sitting in court in the judge's place. He had a deep forehead and learned eyes. You could anywhere. You could trust him anywhere. He dressed up as a prisoner. He put on prisoner's clothes and walked round and round the prison yard. And everyone said, "What a low forehead he has. What cruel eyes. How..." This is not repeated in the first verse. How stupid he looks. How stupid he looks. You couldn't trust him anywhere. Okay, I'll read it through again. The judge was sitting in court in the judge's place. He had a deep forehead and learned eyes. You could trust him anywhere. He dressed up as a prisoner. He put on prisoner's clothes and walked round and round the prison yard. And everyone said, "What a low forehead he has. What cruel eyes. How stupid he looks. You couldn't trust him anywhere." Okay? All right, let me give you those. Just read them over quickly. Yeah. Okay, I chose this poem partly because it does have a lot of repetition in it. As I said, the first verse and the second verse, it's almost like a mirror, only changed a little bit. Huh? And a lot of poems are like that. That makes them, in a way, easier to understand, because when you come to the second verse, when you see the beginning, you know, oh yes, now I recognize, I can see. This is just the same thing but upside down, okay? It's the other way up, upside down. And that makes it easier to understand in a way. Are there any difficult words in this poem? Very difficult words? Not really, are there? Not really. I mean, wig is a funny word. We don't use wig, but you can draw a picture of a wig, very easy. Or robes, you can demonstrate. So the words themselves are not really very difficult. Do you think this is true? Well, do you think that this, not true. Do you think that this actually happened? Was this a real event? Did it happen? Was there a real prisoner who dressed up? Was there a real judge who dressed up as a prisoner? You think it's real? You don't think so? I don't think so either. I don't think so either. So why does the writer use this picture? If you look in your head, you can, when you see the prisoner, you can see the prisoner, can you? Dressed up, you know, like, and then you see the same person dressed as a judge. Can you see that picture in your head? Okay. So why does the poet, why does Ian Serralier, why does he choose this, these images?
To compare.
To compare, okay. And what is he telling us? What is he telling the reader? What does he want the reader to understand? What is his meaning? Okay. Yeah?
Well, I think the writer here is trying to tell about one reality, and that is human beings have this weakness of judging a person by his cover.
That's right.
appearance.
That's right. We judge people by their appearance a lot. And the poet, I think, is saying, be careful. You know? What you see is not always the truth. The person may be different. You know, just looking at the clothes or the appearance doesn't tell you everything you need to know. And then, of course, we jump to conclusions. We make up our mind very quickly about a person. And he is saying that's very dangerous to do. And so he chooses this very extreme, you know, on one end is the prisoner, on the other end is the judge. What happens if you change them? Swap them round, okay? So it's quite a nice image. It's quite a graphic, we say a very graphic image. You can see the picture in your head. Do you have any proverbs in Thai that say something like this? Can you translate into English? Or give it in Thai first and then translate?
Lion.
Say again?
Like in Thai,
Yes? You say what?
they said if you like to be friends with anyone, you need to be very careful.
Ah, just that. Okay. But anything to do with appearance and reality?
ไก่งามก็ผล
Because
Yeah, like
yes?
the cock is very beautiful because of
The feathers.
Feathers.
Okay, the cock is very beautiful because of the feathers. That's the same idea, isn't it? And in our language, we also have at least one proverb, probably more actually. We say, never judge a book by its cover. Never judge a book by its cover. The book may be very interesting, but it has a very dull cover. Or it may have a very nice cover, but it's not very interesting. Okay, so we use that proverb. Yes? Okay. Well, I think we'll stop there today. Are there any questions that you would like to ask about this before we stop? Okay, fine. Well, next time we'll be looking at a poem where we need to look at the background, the cultural background, before we can understand it. Okay? So see you next time.